Have you heard about the Restrict Act, S-686 yet? If you haven't, and you're an American, get ready for a massive violation of your Fourth Amendment rights and a complete nationalization of the internet. If you're old enough, remember what the world was like pre-internet. And what they're doing right now on the internet is the equivalent of the government opening all your mail, watching over your shoulder as you read at the library, seeing what movies you're watching and renting at either the theater or at home, recording every phone call you make, and bugging your home. All on nothing more than a suspicion. Oh, come on, Glenn, don't be so dramatic. It's just putting some restrictions on TikTok, and that's probably a good thing because, well, the children. Wrong. Stay tuned while I tell you why this is one of the most oppressive bills in the last decade. Welcome back to Renegade News. I'm your host, Glenn Kowalski. Every week on this channel, we discuss how entrepreneurs and other freedom lovers just like you can build cancel culture-proof businesses, create a bigger impact in their business in the world, and completely break free from the system. So what is this TikTok ban, Restrict Act, according to what we're hearing in the mainstream media? Well, back on March 7th, Senate Republicans introduced a Senate Bill 686, the Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats that Risk Information and Communications Technology Act, aka the Restrict Act. And they released that to Congress. Since its introduction, the bill has been repeatedly cited and sold as just a TikTok ban, but it actually goes so much further than that. But first, before we even go down that road, let's look at it just as a TikTok ban, if that's what it really was. TikTok has been under major congressional scrutiny for years because it is owned by a Chinese firm, ByteDance, and the laws in China require ByteDance to make user data available to the ruling Communist Party. Several US lawmakers have called for a blanket ban of the app, which is already banned on federal government devices and several dozen public university networks. Senate Bill 686 was supported by 11 Republicans and 11 Democrats, so it's definitely a cross-aisle bill, and the White House is very in favor of this bill as well. So it's one of those rare occasions where we actually see true bipartisanship. But what is it really? Well, what it is essentially government nationalization of the internet, and it goes after everything that contributes to individual people's freedom and safety online. The act would actually give the U.S. Commerce Department the ability to ban any platforms with links to foreign governments that they don't agree with. Under Title 15 of the Code of Federal Regulations, the foreign adversaries of the U.S. right now are China, including Hong Kong, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and the Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that all is really chilling because basically the way the bill works is it gives appointed lawmakers the ability to ban any app that comes from a foreign country if the U.S. ever has a beef with that country. Now, we list the countries right now that are listed in that department, but you know that those change all the time. So you have to think of the bill in the bigger context. This isn't just apps from China. It's from anyone that the U.S. disagrees with now or in the future. So basically, what it means is if the appointed committee doesn't like another country, it can ban any apps that come into the U.S. from that country. And there are a lot of apps that come to the U.S. that we use on a regular basis that come from these foreign countries. And transparency into the committee overseeing these bans is outside of any Freedom of Information Act request. And the committee can also monitor any U.S. person who's using the internet, no matter how they access it, whether it be a phone, wireless, mobile, home, or a public network. And if someone uses a VPN to access the content that is blocked by the committee, that person could be labeled a threat to national security and face up to 20 years in federal prison or be fined up to, as high as I've heard, $1 million. I've heard $250,000. Either way, it's absolutely insane and astronomical that the fines could be that high. Now, there are opinions that most courts probably wouldn't make that stick, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to try it and prosecutors aren't going to try using it against you. One Reddit user calls the Restrict Act essentially the Patriot Act 2.0. And he writes, "We should all be concerned about the vague and boundless wording of the bill which would enact this ban." The Patriot Act was passed by an overwhelmingly bipartisan margin just 45 days after the terrorist attacks on 9/11. And it altered surveillance laws to make it easier for the U.S. government to spy on its citizens in the name of national security. The Patriot Act expanded the government's authority to monitor phone and email communications, to collect bank and credit card information, and track internet usage. And we all know that the Patriot Act has done nothing as far as going away or changing it. If anything, it keeps getting stronger and keeps getting renewed. The Restrict Act would expand that authority even further, allowing the U.S. government to censor individual social media posts, revoke internet access, and so much more. So citing it as merely a TikTok ban buries the much more damning language of the bill and makes it seem frivolous for anyone who doesn't care about I don't care about twerking online or dancing to a 30-second clip. Who cares what they do? And that's the way they get these things passed, is by making you believe it's about one thing while under the covers something else is going on. And the Restrict Act affects everyone in the US, and if it passes, things could get really very scary very, very fast. And there's plenty of more ways that the Restrict Act could be misused if it's passed into law.
I've been reading the new Restrict Act, aka Senate Bill 686, aka the TikTok ban. And this is a lot worse than I had actually thought it was going to be. You can grab the text yourself from congress.gov, but basically, they can't allow themselves to have access to your home network. That's because this bill also covers wireless local area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platforms.
But whoop-de-doo, Basil, what does that mean without the gig speak? Everything. Everything. Everything coming into your house beyond the demarcation point. Everything in my house. They have access to with this law.
They will also have access to any service with greater than 1 million persons, including internet hosting services, cloud-based or distributed computing and data storage, machine learning, predictive analytics and data science products and services, managed services, and content delivery service. But wait! Desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, web-based applications, all of these, it's covered.
Your Xbox Live, your PlayStation Network, your Nintendo Switch, everything, your Steam Market, my Twitch, all of it. But by all means, you keep telling me that a VPN or Tor or I2P is going to matter when we're talking about 20 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines, and you can't access all the rest of the infrastructure because they got it covered A to Z.
Legal experts say that the act is vaguely worded and could be used to restrict a range of technologies, including virtual private networks and VPNs.
That you should too. Because this is not just about TikTok. They have us focused on TikTok and making us out to be like just not wanting to lose our social media. Section 5 considerations, A6. Software designed or used primarily for connecting with and communicating via the internet that is in use by greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transaction, including desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, or web-based applications. Any software used primarily for connecting with and communicating via the internet.
In fact, this bill's language is so broad that it could be used to prevent Americans from conducting cryptocurrency transactions or engaging with networks like Bitcoin entirely. CryptoCoin said that although the primary targets of this legislation are companies like TikTok, the language of the bill could potentially be used to block or disrupt cryptocurrency transactions, and in extreme cases actually block Americans' access to open source tools or protocols like Bitcoin. So no matter how you stack it, the attacks on freedom of speech and freedom of expression are getting stronger and more blatant and more forceful all the time, and the penalties for it are getting stronger and stronger all the time if you violate any of these new rules. And the US and Canada, who were once known as freedom-loving nations, are letting their freedom of speech erode. And as freedom of speech erodes, so goes the rest of our freedoms. Without freedom of speech, a country can very quickly fall into the hands of dictators. So that's why you should subscribe to Renegade News right now. Every week, we add new videos and live streams discussing news, strategies, and tactics for taking back your freedom of speech, creating a cancel-proof business, making a bigger impact in the world, and more. And check out the video that you see on the screen right now to get the latest video that we've published on Web 3.0, entrepreneurship, cryptocurrency, and so much more. I'm Glenn Kowalski from Renegade News, and I'll see you over there.